everyone. This is Michelle Gramoglia, the president and CEO here at Woodland Pond, and this is my weekly address for a Tuesday. Today is Tuesday, July 16th, 2024. It is also Amazon Prime Day #1 for the summer. So if you're already in the market for something, you can check it out on Amazon and maybe get it a little cheaper. But if you do, make sure you put all the packages in one box. That'll help the Sustainability Committee's mission of fewer packages. Today at 2 in the PAC, the Land Conservation Committee is going to be hosting Christine DeBeer, who is the executive director of the Walkill Valley Land Trust. And for those that don't know, Woodland Pond does have roughly 56 acres of property in a perpetual conservation easement. It's a idea. Essentially, it's the perimeter of the property, but as part of the conservation easement agreement that we entered into, which was part of our initial site plan approval, we were required to hire a land steward to ensure that we are complying with the terms of our conservation easement. Many people are interested in what the conservation easement entails, and actually what I think I'll do for those that are interested, I'll put a copy in the library. It is very clear about what we can and cannot do on that property, but Christine will be here to talk about that a bit today, and the role of the Walkill Valley Land Trust. Part of what they do is they come annually and they walk the full property of the conservation easement with a staff member. They look to make sure that we aren't doing anything in violation of the conservation easement, but also that no one is encroaching on the property and doing anything in that regard. And then if there are any issues or concerns, we work through with her what we need to do to comply. Issues in the past have primarily been related to we actually do have a historical sheep midden on property with an old apple orchard foundation that is to the northwest from the building. And there have been times over the years where folks have clearly either partied there, not staff members. We think they're people coming in off of Shivertown Road or surrounding properties. Evidence years ago, somebody camping out there. So Christine usually looks at that, or her staff do. So it's pretty interesting. They always take pictures, they send us a report, and then if there's any areas of concern, we follow up on that. So you might be interested in seeing what Christine does there. It looks like she's actually also going to be focusing more broadly on the role of the Walkill Valley Land Trust and how they work to preserve and protect over 3,000 acres of property they are land stewards for, including the Millbrook Preserve, which attaches to our property. Tomorrow at 1:30 in the PAC, we have management Q&A. We did not have this in June, to my recollection. Maybe we did. I don't know. All the days are blurring together, but we will be having it tomorrow. I will briefly touch on some thoughts and some preliminary plans that we have put into place following yesterday's robust and beneficial conversation regarding how we are going to thread the needle going forward through the election season. But I'm only going to touch on that briefly. It's not going to be a large discussion, but I do want you to know that we were listening. I've already had discussions with Tom Gilder as president of the Residents Council, a number of residents, about some great ideas about how we can facilitate conversations. And so we'll talk about that a little bit tomorrow. Thursday, there was a Council Connections event on the calendar that has been canceled. Just a couple of other things. I want to give you an update as to where we are with the replacement of the storm culverts behind the cottages on the western slope. But before I do that, I want to reinforce the fact that we have now coned off and put caution tape and signs that say that the trails are closed. That really isn't a recommendation. It's a requirement. There is significant heavy equipment. There is displaced earth. In order for this work to happen, this is not a safe location for residents to be right now, because currently this site is being managed by the construction company and the excavating company, with coordination with the management team, because they need to be able to do their work and do it expeditiously. So they've got, big giant excavators down there. They've got lots of other machines to grind out, parts of the earth that have to be made more appropriate to take the fill that we want, so that we don't have a recurring issue here. But just to, again, give you an update. So we have, as you all know, a significant amount of stormwater collection basins here on campus. They're primarily on the roadways, but you will also see them in parts of the land, the grass and stuff. So they all kind of catch and then drive the caught water, the collected water, into a couple of very large culverts that go sort of from the main part of the campus down through the cottage row, and then down to the retention pond, which is to the southwest of our property. When the company was here doing the excavating and the work for the trail improvements, they noticed some washout areas, not significant, but enough to raise concerns. They ended up excavating 19 feet down to the existing primary section of the culvert that comes off of the western slope, and discovered that at some point in time it had become compromised partially. So it was not completely compromised, but it was enough that it was clear that some of the water was not making its way to its destination, and some of those washout conditions were happening. They were very minor, to the extent that when Tom sent me the initial pictures, when all of the trees and shrubs were still there, he really had to pin me down and really kind of zoom in and show me, like, this is what a washout is. We then subsequently took a walk, and then we couldn't find them again. So it was not significant, but it was enough of a concern to say we can't leave this condition to be here if we know that it's like this. It is a very extensive project. It does require the replacement of substantial 120 feet plus of 4-foot round double enforced commercial grade storm drainage culvert, and the replacement of and backfilling of 2 or 3 very large concrete joints where catchment culverts come down from part of the campus and then have to be connected in, and then kind of take a jog down towards the retention pond. So as we're doing the work, we are finding that it is going to make sense to replace a little bit more, like 7 or 8 feet of another a connecting pipe. And we've given the excavation company the green light to do this while they're there. The scope is significant. The western slope behind the cottage is sort of right in the middle of the western part of the property, has been needed to be cleared of trees and brush so they could do the excavating. There are very large piles of dirt, sort of Mount Woodland down there right now, and all of that will be returned once the work is done, which is not going to take a particularly long amount of time, maybe another week or two. They will appropriately repack and grade those storm culverts. In the meantime, there is protective fencing up behind the cottages. I am graciously asking the residents that live there, as much as you are interested in seeing what's going on back there, those fences are not really designed to withhold and withstand a lot of activity. They are, full metal fences, and obviously they're made for construction sites. But me being KOA Karen, as you know, if you watched my council connections, it makes me nervous because there is quite a bit of earth removed behind those cottages. I really prefer if you stayed back and really didn't go anywhere near those fences. We don't really need lots of eyes on this, because I am concerned. There is a portion of excavated land back there, but again, there is safety fencing. We've taken lots of pictures. What I will probably do is have Tom take some pictures for tomorrow's management Q&A, so you can kind of all see what we're talking about. I have some on my phone as well. But again, this is sort of in the vein of, we do not like deferred maintenance at Woodland Pond. and we have a very long history of not deferring maintenance and also never deferring repairs. So although this probably could have been repaired in some way that was a little bit less comprehensive, that's not the way we operate. We have an opportunity here, although this was unbudgeted for per se. We obviously have, rainy day funds for capital projects that come up that are significant, like this one. This is a couple $100,000 probably when it's all done. But we have reserve funds, we have capital funds. We have not touched them. They grow. Whether we touch them for this project or not, I don't know. But we don't find ourselves in the position to have to, scramble if a project of this magnitude comes up. And there's no question that this had to be done or made more sense to do it now while we're working on the trails. Once everything there is sealed up and tightened up, our civil engineering firm, which has been checking in all along the way here, will bless the completed project, and we will be done with that. Then we will be back to the trail enhancements that we were working on when all of this started. All together, I'm hoping that we are done with all of this in 6 weeks. I do anticipate another week or two maybe for the culvert repairs, and then another month or so to finish the trail work. But obviously that's subject to rainy conditions, whatever field conditions that we have to contend with, and availability of the excavation company. So please do stay tuned, and thank you for your patience. Again, the biggest takeaway here is that we need all residents to completely stay off of every part of the trails that are on the back part of our property. So starting all the way up at the cottages off of George Danskin Way, and then all the way to the branch trail, because even though you may not see an excavator or something, the firm is coming in and out, our staff is coming in and out. They need to be able to work unimpeded. And we'll get you lots of pictures so you can kind of see what's going on down there. But that's where we're at with that. I think you all saw that the pool deck tile removal was put off one more week. So next week the pool will be open, and then the following week is when we will remove the decking from the pool, the existing decking, as the interim first step before we re-pour the concrete underlayment, getting it ready for the epoxy poured floor, which is going to be fantastic. And the last thing I wanted to touch on, again, I mentioned this yesterday in our meeting, but you do now have the opportunity, if you have a MOLST form, which is a form you would have completed with your doctor, or can complete with your doctor if you want to. If we have an existing MOLST form, a New York State MOLST, MOLST, which you can obtain at Concierge, they have them for you there. If we have a MOLST form on file for you and you reside in independent living, and that MOLST form indicates that your advance directive is that you wish to not be resuscitated in the event that you are found unconscious, unresponsive, so a DNR, or do not resuscitate, you are now able to obtain from me, once I have verified with my own eyeballs that we have the form on file and that it's the current form, a sticker that looks like this. Hopefully you can all see that, to put on the back of your badge. And it would go somewhere around here. Okay. And what that is going to do is it's going to give someone the indication that if they know to look at your badge, which of course we educate all the residents and we'll educate the first responders, to tell them that you have a DNR on file with us. Now, both Good Samaritans and the first responders have their own protocols. Certainly the first responders will need us to produce that MOLST form. So we have them all handy. They're right in our system at Concierge. They can just be printed immediately or shown on the screen to the first responders here in independent living, but they're going to want to make sure that they've seen that executed MOLST form. But this is for the people that really just do not want an AED put on them. They do not want resuscitation, manual resuscitation started if they are found unconscious, unresponsive. It's your voice when you can't speak for yourself. And it's especially important for when you're out and about in the community and you're found on the ground, unconscious or unresponsive. If you are in your home in independent living, the first responders know to immediately look in your emergency packet and look for that MOLST form. But in the absence of an executed MOLST that says that you are a DNR, they will begin cardiopulmonary resuscitation or CPR. And then, we also have the AEDs here on campus, which do require beginning with CPR before you can start the AEDs. So I know some of you are absolutely not interested in that. You understand the risks that come along with, being unconscious and unresponsive for a period of time, then initiating CPR, what the outcomes are. That's your choice. Some of you are full code. We do have a list at Concierge that was audited last week, of who we have MOLST forms on file for with the current form. So if you cannot remember, if you have that with us, you can ask a Concierge. And if you do not have one, but you wish to have one, you may obtain a blank form either from Mary Jo's office. They're outside of her office, hot pink forms, or you can get them at Concierge. They just have photocopies, but it's still the valid form. You just need to fill it out with your doctor. And then we need to get those back. And I personally need to eyeball them and sign off that you have acknowledged the use of the DNR sticker. There's a separate form for that. And I have to have seen the executed MOLST form. So that will bridge the gap for some of you that have been very concerned about, being attempted to be resuscitated if that is not your wish. So that is something that we can do in that regard here in independent living. In the health center, the regulations dictate a completely different identification process, bracelets, stickers, audits, and so forth. Obviously, it's a more heavily regulated medical setting. So if you have any questions on that, let me know. This week is pretty busy on my schedule with some things we're doing related to the expansion and renovation, some analysis we're doing and getting ready for focus groups to be scheduled, and interviewing for the new general manager position for dining. So email this week is probably the best way to get me. If you don't have my email address, you can ask Concierge, and we will go from there. I hope you all have a great day and stay cool and stay hydrated. Thanks so much.